Hola.
Hey everybody, welcome down to the Live at Lunch show. If you're grabbing your lunch, if you've had your lunch and you're busy tuning in, it is great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Today we've got Pastor Dom Bird in the house. Hello Dom, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I am good.
I was wearing a red cap until about 5 minutes ago. Then I saw your attire and I thought,
And you thought,
nah, not going to happen.
so you went for the black cap, and at one stage you were sitting so well placed, it looked like you had antler horns. And I was thinking, that is very festive, very festive indeed.
There we go.
There we go. That's the most festive it can be. I'm liking it. I'm absolutely liking it.
By the
What
way,
do we have
Richard,
today?
antlers are horns, so you can't have antler horns, surely.
Oh,
Antlers
antler.
are animal.
If you're in the comments, can you have antler horns? Let us know what you think. Also, let us know what you're having for lunch. We would love to know it. Hey, Jonathan, good to see you all the way from Australia, which is great to have you join us. Let us know what you had for dinner at the Live at Midnight show.
They've got a heat wave going on over there at the moment, I think, in Australia. Summer for them.
I mean, it's terrible when you have got heat to contend with and not freezing cold. How do you get through?
I know. I mean, I think for me, Christmas in the sun, I don't know how I feel about that.
It's not right. And what makes Christmas in the sun really disgusting is, so in South Africa, Santa would still dress up in a proper Santa suit, which meant through Santa's beard was just a huge amount of sweat streaming through.
Beautiful, man.
Huge
Beautiful.
amount. Oh, so that looks, you are not having noodle. What is going on right now? Look at
I have got like panini toaster right now.
Oh,
that looks good, doesn't it? Cheese and ham. Cheese and ham.
Who made that panini toaster?
Louise made this for me. My wonderful wife. She's such a giver.
So nice. So nice. Well, if you're just joining us, make sure you leave a comment. We would love to know what you're having for lunch. We're also going to be getting into the final preach in the Holy Joe series today, which is amazing. And we've got a special guest joining us, so that's going to be exciting. So all in all, this Live at Lunch show is going to be a great show. I can't wait. I've also got a brand new segment. That's right. There's a brand new segment coming up, so watch out.
Is it going to be theme music?
It is going to be theme music.
Come on.
And it's going to be theme music from the 70s and 80s TV shows.
Oh, okay.
And the reason that this is going to be a good one is when we bring our guest in, who basically is a man-child, they're going to have no clue what these shows are, because they were born in, I think, 1999, maybe in the 2000s.
Richard, I remember when you started coming to Sunny Hill, and you used to think I looked like a child, didn't you?
I know. I don't think that anymore.
No, but that's a shame, because it's funny, because when you first started, I used to kick against that.
Yeah.
But no, I'd love it. if that was how you teased me, I would love it. I'd love to be teased because I look young for my age. But now
it's just brutal.
Call me Doctor something. There was a doctor, wasn't there, on TV, like a young doctor, teenage doctor, wasn't it?
Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser, yeah. I think that's
yeah. I mean, you're like Doogie Howser without the doctor skills.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
I'm getting topped up with more toasted sandwiches here.
Oh, dude. Is this going to happen? You're just going to bloat out on toasted sandwiches. Joe says she's not eating any leftovers, but the cupboard is bare, no bread, so she's just having cheese and salami.
Oh, minus the sandwich. Oh.
Are you wrapping up the cheese in salami, Joe? Is that what you're telling us? What is going on right now? I don't know. It's great. Good to have you, Joe. Good to see you.
Nice. What are you having for lunch today?
I had a slimming bar as I'm slimming down. Today is a milestone. I have lost.
Come on, wait there.
Over 2.3 stone.
Mate,
come on.
You're looking good for it, man.
It's crazy. But I'm putting back 2.3 stone on as I grow this bad boy out. That's
2.3
right.
stone, mate. That is a lot. I reckon. How heavy is Zeke, do you reckon, Luby?
About that.
Yeah, I reckon you've lost the Zeke. That's pretty impressive.
I have. I've lost Zeke, and I've still got more to lose. It's begging a lot of questions that you don't want to have to
Lost
ask at the
Zeke,
same time.
you really need to lose a Caleb. That's the challenge in this whole kind of.
Yeah, no, I need to lose a Louise. That's what's going on here. That's what's really going on here.
That's so funny, mate. Mate, you are slimming up every time I see you. Like, oh, mate, he's looking pretty trim. So well done. Keep going. Good job.
I know. It's all happening. It's all happening. Well, we're going to be right back, and we're going to be bringing in our guest. You're going to be excited to see who it is. We'll see you now. Dan Moore. How are you, Dan?
I'm good, thanks, Richard. How are you?
I am good. Good to see you.
Amazing. Good to see you guys. So good to be here.
So, Dan, just for the audience out there, how old are you?
I'm 20. I am 20 years old.
And are you single?
I am single. Yes, I am single.
So, ladies, in the comment section,
Hat is watching. Careful, Richard.
Oh, no.
But in the comment section, if you post that you would like Dan's phone number and email, we are more than happy to send that through to you. 20 years old, and you don't look a day over 15.
Wow.
Yeah, what? I mean, you're looking so good for your age, mate. Keep going. And here we go, ladies. Here we go, ladies. Just for your. Come on. Text away. Text
him away. There's a lot of love for Dan, and then a lot of hate for you, Dom. So that's been going on.
That's how it should be.
I'm loving this comment from Joe. We've been married longer than Dan's been alive.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Man.
So you've at least been married for what, 7 years, Joe?
Oh, shut up. Wow. Oh, there's no end.
To shower the love on Dan, check out what Jonathan Scampton has to say to you, Dan. Look at that. Great job worship on Sunday.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And Joshua Goldenberg, more love. It's my favorite ex-intern.
Yes.
And he's laughing at you. So that's really weird. My favorite ex-intern. Ha, 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 ha. It's weird, but it's there.
He's showing love, but he's also showing, criticism as well. It's very funny.
Hey, Dan, if you were going to pick someone at Sunny Hill who really inspires you, who would it be?
Oh. Okay, my first answer was actually Phil Coleman.
But he doesn't count. He's not here, is he? It doesn't count. You can't choose somebody who's not here. No one knows who you're talking about.
All right. Okay. Out of you two. Okay. Louise.
She's rejoicing at that.
Don't make Louise choose. It just gets awkward then. Don't do that. Marital bliss and harmony, dude.
That's funny.
Hey, Dan, so what have you had for lunch today?
Well, I haven't actually had lunch yet because the Moore family are going to the Sizzlers to have lunch.
Come on.
Very nice.
Oh, amazing. So what are you going to have at the Sizzler?
Oh, I usually go for a nice, juicy burger. They are very delicious there. I love it.
What on it?
Richard, now you want to try it, Richard.
Yeah?
Do you find it hard listening to when people reel off quality food rather than the bird seed you're eating at the moment?
No, I don't. I don't at all. It just makes me think about it and go, oh, a quality burger. Yes. Then you think about what would you put on a quality burger. It's always good. It's good thought in your mind.
It's great. It's delicious. Yeah.
It's really, really good. We've got some more face up online. So, hey, Colin, how are you? He says chicken drumsticks. What I'm surprised at is that your wife is eating salami wrapped around cheese, but you've got chicken drumsticks.
What's that about?
Yeah, that's not right, but it is too. I mean, Dan, this is for you. Are you tier 2 folk allowed to the Sizzler, which I assume is a good establishment? I don't know, but you enjoy your burger.
I will, very much.
Tier 2, I don't even know what tier 2 means fully. Does it mean that you can do pretty much everything bar do it with other people that aren't in your household?
I think so, yes.
Kind of, yeah.
So shops are open and everything then.
Yeah.
Wow, restaurants, cafes, all of that.
Yeah. I mean, your wife is probably more over it, so you should probably let her set the itinerary and the plan.
Let her lead, Dom. Let her lead the plans.
Yeah. Jonathan says he used to have Sizzler in Melb, old Melbs.
Yeah.
So
We need
good.
to. Can we do something like that for Bournemouth or Poole? Like, what could we shorten it to?
Oh, this is going to get good now. Here we go, gents. Here we go. Let's get ready for this. We are going to be bringing in another guest, a special guest who's logged on, and it's going to just all of our spirits will be lifted right now. We will be back right after this. Whoa, Adam Clark in the house.
This is like a podcast today. We got no female representation.
Oh, we got Adam.
Hold up, mate.
I can't even hear you at the moment. I forgot what it's like having Adam on these things. This drama.
Live at Lunch will be back in about 6 hours after Adam's figured out how to undo his headphones.
I don't know if I need them actually.
No, you're all right.
It was all bitty a minute ago.
I mean, you look interesting there, mate.
Do you want to see my lunch?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, I've just realised I've got these headphones on. I haven't even got a headphone port on my phone. I can't wear them anyway.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Just if you've just tuned into Live at Lunch, we've got some great guests on today. Adam, the last time he was on, went about telling us that he sits in his van a lot at lunch, eating stuff out of tins using a business card.
Amazing.
Adam, can you prove that to us before the end of the broadcast today? Can you open a tin of something, get a business card, and eat what's in the
I
tin?
can show you. I've heated it up today.
Wait there. That Adam, are you just doing this for the broadcast, or do you eat out of a saucepan on a regular?
I always, you know what? It sounds bad, but I hate washing up, so I don't have to wash up a plate.
Let's see it then. Let's see that dog's dinner you're eating out of a saucepan. What is in there?
Well, you've got beans here,
Yeah.
and you've got like a scrambled egg with mushrooms.
It's like a deconstructed omelette.
That's the meal food, the mushrooms.
Oh, man. This is amazing.
So what does Kerry make of you eating in that manner?
Does what, sorry?
What does Kerry make of you eating in that manner on your sofa at home with a saucepan and what looks like dog food?
It's been like it for the last 10 years, so she's kind of customized to it.
Customized.
You're getting some support in the chat room, though. Jonathan, isn't the saucepan just a plate with a handle? Come on.
Exactly.
Mate, that's so funny, man.
And it insulates the food.
Oh, amazing. More love here. More love. You just love all around.
Look at this. That's good, Adam. You've got a lot of love. See, clearly I'm the one in the wrong. Like, I would expect to do that if I'm at the side of Everest, not just on like a Wednesday lunchtime at home sitting on my sofa.
Always
yeah, I
be
agree.
ready.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
We have our first question coming in from Hattie. What is Adam's idea of a romantic wheel? Cutlery?
Using cutlery.
Yeah.
A romantic meal.
If you've just tuned into Live at Lunch, it is great to have you. We're going to be getting into the final sermon in the Holy Joe series. And so as we jump into it, we're going to quickly have a look at a recap just of the sermon that we've just had on Sunday. If you haven't caught it, go to sunnyhill.church. You can listen to the sermon there, or you can hear it on our podcast. I think that the sermon is just available as a standalone. So whatever you're doing, you can really get into the sermon. And if you haven't engaged into the series, I'd really encourage you to track back and really get into the Holy Joe series, because it's been amazing. But we'll be right back to start discussing the sermon from Sunday. Sit down, buckle in, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself whatever you're eating, and we're going to be having a look at the highlights reel coming out of Sunday.
Today, I want to talk about something that I'm calling the principle of release. This is a really important thing to get our head around as we profess and kind of confess to be Christians. I like to hoard things in secret. I like to just store things away. I'm like a squirrel that kind of hides his nuts in the ground, right? Because I wonder how many of us are like this as people. We hide things in our life because people don't see it. We think it's okay just to keep it. Write this down. In order to receive something, you have to release it. Forget the former things, okay? Another word, like release the former things. Do not dwell on the past. God says, see, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. It often hurts to release, but it hurts more to hold on. Holy Joe, let's go. It feels really good to release stuff. It actually feels really good. Holy Joe doesn't hold on to the past, doesn't live in yesterday. Holy Joe is progressive, moving towards the future that God has got. Holy Joe isn't caught up in trying to hoard cash. Holy Joe, let's go. Holy Joe isn't caught up in holding bitterness of relationship. Holy Joe, let's go. Holy Joe, let's go, because he knows that Jesus isn't in yesterday, he's in the now.
Amen.
Great finish to a really powerful series. Holy Joe, let's go. If you've got any questions coming off the series and off Sunday, please do post them into the chat. And over the next little while, we're just going to be getting into some discussion around this. Dom, off the bat, to discuss two questions I have. The first one is this, is like a squirrel, how do you bury your nuts in the ground? Secondly, is that not right? No one going with that?
No, well, the problem is this just happens. Like when you just speak and when you don't have stacks of notes, you often just open your mouth and you realise that you've thrown something out there that you could have said so much better. But you get the gist of the message, you know. Squirrels hoard their nuts, don't they? They store up for a rainy day. That was what I was alluding to.
Yeah, that's what you're alluding to. Yeah. So the whole thrust of this message is having a look at all of the past series in Holy Joe. Ultimately, it lands at this point of Holy Joe, let's go. Let's go of all of these things that are weighing him down, pulling him back and stopping him from moving into the future that God has. Here's my question. Great idea.
Yeah.
But actually, in reality, how do you do that? How do you just go, I let go of it? Like, how is that not just wishful thinking, or you're kind of putting a blind eye to everything and just going, I'm just pretending like everything's okay now, when actually it isn't?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Richard, I don't really know, because it does preach well, doesn't it? This idea of letting go, but like in practice, it's really hard. I think ultimately, I would suggest that like it starts with a state of mind. It starts with an understanding that living in the past, dwelling on the past, holding on to the past isn't going to serve you well in your future. And I think on Sunday it was less practical, because unless you appreciate the fact that you need to let go, knowing how to let go isn't enough, because actually you've got to have the desire to let go. So for me, if I was going to have just a 4-week series on let go, I think the first week would be last week. The second week would probably be about speaking. So if last week was to do with thinking differently, I think the next week would be to do with speaking differently, because I think often what we say really perpetuates stuff in our world. And so I think the first thing, in order to let go of something, it's to begin to speak a different reality. And I think actually confession is really important for that. So for example, it's like forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a feeling, it's an act of the will. You know, so actually forgiveness is about, I choose to forgive this person. And I would suggest it's the same with letting go. I would say like it's about saying I let go of that hurt, I let go of that unforgiveness, I let go of that relationship. And it's beginning to confess that, not just into the air, but into the presence of God. And just, I think what that does, as soon as you start to get hold of it mentally and then with your words, it's then about allowing the reality, start acting as though you're free from that. Does that? I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I guess for me, that would be how it disseminates out.
Yeah, that's great. Dan, I see you shaking your head a lot there. In agreement, or?
In agreement.
How have you found that? Obviously, you're a lot younger than the rest of us, being all like 7 years old, and we've got a lot more life experience and wisdom. But just going to the youth right now, how have you found kind of over the course of kind of schooling and where you're at now, this idea of having to let go to really move forward and really move into the things God has for you?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. So for me, I would say the way I've experienced that is actually letting go of a relationship, of a friendship. It wasn't necessarily a toxic friendship. It was actually a good one. It was a good friendship. But Dom, I mentioned, sometimes Holy Joe lets go of relationships, whether they can be toxic or sometimes they can be, in fact, good. They can be good relationships. But I found I had to let go of that friendship, even though it was a really, really good one. But I find like you can almost, with a good friendship, for me, it was almost, it had too much hold, if that makes sense. So, for example, what that could look like, I was messaging them way too much, or I was thinking about this person a lot, and they were taking up too much space in my life, you know. And so I found that I had to say, okay, God, I need to back away from this person. I need to let this person go, right? And for me, in that context, releasing that person, letting go, didn't mean blanking them forever. It didn't mean that, but it meant simply maybe contacting them less, maybe focusing on the things of God a lot more, you know. And when I felt the urge to, you know, almost go back to the way it was, I remember just speaking over myself today, like, no, God, I've let them go. I've let them go, God, you know. That's what it looks like for me. Just yeah.
So can I ask a question? Does Phil know you've done that yet or not?
I haven't told him yet. I haven't told him, no.
Yeah. That would explain why just building up the time all the time in meetings, waiting for the text to come back.
Yeah. What happened?
Can I follow up something on what Dan said that I think is really helpful? Is like, it almost seems counterintuitive to let a good relationship go, doesn't it? It seems like sounds like not good wisdom. But actually, like, you know, sometimes there's an end has to come to good things. Just because it's good doesn't mean that it should just stay in your life forever. And I think, like what I was saying, Sunday, in regards to Isaiah 43, God was saying, like, here's the great stuff I've done, but you've got to forget these things because I'm doing a new thing. And I even think of Galatians 5, when Paul writes, it's for freedom that Christ has set us free. What we always attribute that Bible verse to this idea of overcoming a bad addiction or something. That's where we would say the verse, you know, it is for freedom that Christ set you free. Don't be bound again to slavery. What Paul's talking about is the law that God gave, which is really interesting, isn't it? That Paul is saying, like, this wonderful thing that, I mean, Galatians is all about that, but this wonderful thing that God gave, Paul's saying, like, you're now free from this. So it's like, it was right for yesterday, but this thing that was great for yesterday is actually going to be a stumbling block today and tomorrow. So you've got to understand that you're free from that. So I think it's really helpful to understand that it's not always the obvious negative stuff you need to separate yourself from. Sometimes it's the good stuff, and it's the stuff that seems like quite helpful. But, you know, you've got to be discerning, you know.
And Adam, how do you find this playing itself out at work while you're there? Maybe somebody does something to you in the workplace, it really grates you. Like how do these things not become consuming or kind of stifle you, but actually an ability to go, I need to let it go. I need to keep moving forward. I need to go after what God is telling me to go after.
Yes. I'll just clip them around the ear roll, really. No.
And sometimes you have to let go of really, really good things.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Good, Richard. Thank you. But I came back again. You know, when I was as an assistant branch manager about 3 years ago, a position came up as tool hire manager, and that's kind of seen as the dark side in any branch. That's what tool hires looked at, and I wasn't sure if that was the right thing for me to do or not. And it just felt right to do that in the end, and to move over to that. And I was nervous and I was anxious. Is this right? As you know, but I went for it, and you know, and I'm really glad. I wish I'd done it sooner, to be honest with you. I really enjoy it. And but at the time, and it's like it's easy looking back, but at the time I was like, oh my gosh, is this right? Should I leave now? Is this going to work out for me? And I remember a few times in my career I've had opportunity to progress. I remember my director a few years back, he said, I want to put you into Christchurch branch to see what you like, to put a bit more limelight on you. And I said, no, you're right. It just doesn't feel right for me. But looking back, I thought he was trying to kind of push me out of the business, and all sorts of thoughts went into my head. And looking back on it, he was actually trying to progress me. And so I might have made the wrong decision back then, but obviously that led into me going into tool hire, into another opportunity. So it was tricky because I really had to discern. Maybe I failed once, but the second time I kind of got it.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I think so often it's so easy for our past decisions, past mistakes, past hurts, past pains to become the things that define our kind of present reality. And actually it ends up becoming the biggest kind of block to the future that we can step into. And I think that part of the power in this series has been going, how do you get a handle on all of these different aspects of life and align them with the truth of what God is saying? But kind of like on Sunday, all of that is good and well. But actually, if you can't let go of the very things that are kind of crippling you, I think you're stuck. And I think it's an interesting idea that Dan was alluding to, which kind of brings me on to the next question. Is there Dom, in your opinion, do you see a correlation between idolatry and these things we're holding on to, even good things, which end up becoming like idolatrous in our lives?
Yeah, I think it's really good insight. I think that's really how it is. I think that normally when we think of idolatry, we think of a druid wearing like a helmet with horns, like I've got here or something, and it's like really, really obvious. Like, you know, almost like here's Buddha. This is the God I worship, and we normally reduce idols to competing gods as we see them in Western world. But really, an idol is anything that you put in God's place. Like, and I think that's where it can become really easy for stuff like for things like tech, iPads, money. They're the obvious things, but then also like your spouse, your kids, your work. And I think the challenge with that is, because it seems like good to value your wife and your kids, which is right. The problem is, as soon as it takes the place of God, you're building your life on something that's really fragile, because ultimately you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. If your life's identity is built up on your spouse and your spouse gets ill, or your spouse runs off with somebody else or whatever, then all of a sudden your identity's gone with them. Equally, if you put your identity, if Adam put his identity in tool hire branch at Travis Perkins, which I know he doesn't, but if he did, and then tomorrow he lost his job, then he would have to rebuild his identity. So that's why idolatry is really dangerous. And I would just say there's this kind of helpful soundbite, I think, is that if you can't give something away, like if you can't let go of something, then you don't own it, it owns you.
Yeah.
And it's just understanding kind of the law of mastery, that like, if there's something in me that won't let go of this, then actually it's because it owns me. And therefore you're a captive to something that God doesn't want you to be enslaved to. So it's a real kind of sobering kind of word, I think, but one that we all need to reflect on quite seriously, you know?
Yeah, that is that's so good. If you've just joined us, welcome down to the Live at Lunch show. We're busy looking at Holy Joe Let's Go, the last of the Sunday series on Holy Joe, and the last sermon in that. Jonathan's put up a really great question, which I'm going to throw out. To what extent can letting go be equated to worship? How can it be harnessed for worshiping on a Sunday morning? Outside of us singing Frozen, how could we really harness the idea of letting go as an act of worship?
Yeah. Do you want me to speak into that, or do you want someone else?
Yeah, go for it. And then we'll go wider.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the whole process of God glorifying worship is where you abandon yourself to his presence. So for me, I think the burden on every professing mature believer in Christ is to say, right, today I'm going to express my gratitude, my thanksgiving, and my affection for my Savior, right?
Yeah.
So this may seem like a really harsh blanket statement thing, but I think somebody's willingness to engage in a physical way into worship is really proportionate to their maturity in Christ. I think, and that is a real kind of huge statement to say, because you could say, what if that's their personality? And I understand that, because not everyone is going to jump, and not everyone's going to be done. But I do think there should be something that is an offering in our worship, and there should be something that is demanding of us to kind of go beyond the comfortable kind of predictability of our expression. So I think, for example, I've said this before, if someone's expression is to sit down in worship, stand up. If standing up is going to cause you to lose dignity in your opinion, do it. Because what you're doing is you're saying, I revealed God enough, I'm going to stand up now. If your kind of expression of worship is to sit there with or stand there with your hands in your pockets, get your hands out your pockets. Like if your inclination is to sit with your arms crossed, put your hands in the air. Like, and I would be kind of saying to every believer, listen, there is so much freedom to be experienced in worship and praise. Like King David expressed this really well, obviously, when he's coming in with not many clothes on. That's why I think Jake Parker is one of the most holy people in Sunny Hill. he's only too willing to take off his clothes at any given kind of moment. I think for me, what it said a lot about David was the condition of his heart. Was like, I'll come more undignified than this. Like there isn't a level that I'm not willing to go into in order to express my gratitude to God. And I just think that for us, particularly in Britain, British society, understanding that actually letting go and really throwing ourselves on the goodness of God, there's something not just good for our soul, but there's something that builds environments with that act. There's something that brings a culture into a room. As soon as you get many people raising their hands together, it's amazing what that does in the moment in terms of the faith being stirred. So like, I think sometimes I don't care how you feel, actually. I don't care if you don't not really up for it, because actually worship has never been about you feeling warm and fuzzy. It's always been about bringing your worship to God. So just bring it today, just bring it. And I think often in those moments, that's where we let go and we sense, I don't know, just that connection to the life of God.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I think when we take our eyes off ourselves in worship, when we choose to let go of whatever we've gone through, as Dom said, there is incredible freedom in that. And actually, when we come say, God, I really don't feel like worshiping today. I really don't. But we choose to break through. There's that moment of breakthrough. When we release it, there is breakthrough, right? I think it's such a powerful thing that when we choose to worship, when we choose to release, the blessing comes. The breakthrough comes. And so I think it's such a powerful thing that Christians don't do very often, but I think could really be beneficial. I remember Don preaching once. He said, I haven't had a good week this week, but in worship he was jumping, he was praising, and that stirred my faith. As you said, it sets faith, it sets the atmosphere. That really encouraged me to take a next step in worship. I absolutely love this.
Well, I think coming back on that, because I think it's a really interesting point, when Jesus goes to heal that girl who had died, Jairus's daughter, isn't it? Jairus's daughter. There was like a pity party happening. People were playing flutes and kind of wailing and all this kind of stuff. And the thing that Jesus did is he got them out. He just he got unbelief out the room, because actually this is a big statement here, but it seems like there's very little room for your feelings when it comes to these moments. Like for me, if there's 100 people in a room and all of them feel like worshiping, so then they worship in proportion to their feeling, there's power in that, and that's cool. If there's 100 people in the room who have had the crappiest week ever and they don't feel like worshiping, yet they're bringing their worship, that's way more powerful. Because actually what worship does is it frees, it brings an atmosphere into a moment where actually the very thing that they need to lift them out of the pits is only going to be released as they war against their feelings and their mood in the moment. So obviously I love it when church is filled with expectant people, because that's the message we preach all the time. But ultimately what I really love to see is the maturity in believers to say, I've had a crap week, I've lost my job, my kid's sick, and I'm worried about coronavirus, but I know God's good, so I'm bringing it today.
Right.
I think there's something so freeing about that, and I think
Mm.
you know, Stan says, as we let go, breakthrough, blessing, just God's presence just saturates the place. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I think for me, using the picture of putting your hands up in worship and dancing, you know, for me personally, if I've come from a immature sort of standstill, hands down, like sing the song, and like I'd always challenge myself to, I want to worship God, but there's all these other people, and they're going to think I'm a bit of a dipstick putting my hand up, and
So putting your hands up would make us think that, but eating a tin with
nah.
that's all right. That's normal.
Yeah, but Bear Grylls has been out since then, and he's cool. So
Yes. Come on, Adam.
but seriously, I've matured in my thinking now. I couldn't give one about what you think. I'm going to worship. I'll dance. I won't take my top off like Jake yet. I'm working on a 6-pack, maybe one day. But the freedom that I found through putting my hands up, the freedom that I found through jumping,
Come on.
it takes me to another level.
Come on.
And
Great.
I know when I see other people jumping, I want to jump as well. I want to copy that.
Yeah.
And it just cast your mind back to Magdalene with the kids jumping down the front. And I don't want my kids to have to go through that. What I had to go through. I want them to be a normal thing. Come and worship God. Let's jump. Let's sing. Let's dance. And if they can learn it from a young age, and when they're an adult, who knows what they'll be moonwalking or something. But I mean, it's the whole point of just giving them that freedom at a young age. I think it's great, and I've had to kind of go through a process, but I'm there now, or ish. But
well, you know, I think it's really funny that like when it comes to worship, we feel like all of a sudden that like if you think about other aspects of our walk with Jesus, if people says, "Oh, I just don't really feel like sharing Jesus," or it's just not my personality, you would go, "No, it's like it's a mark of a disciple. You'll know them by their fruit." The fact that you're wanting to share, like, I'm not saying it's always easy, and I'm not saying you don't miss moments, but deep down inside, you want to share your faith because it's in line with discipleship. It's in line with becoming like Christ. And so if people kind of come and play this person, I don't really like worshiping. It's not really me. For me, that's a real problem because I'm like, but you know, if you knew who we're worshiping, like there's no way you can. And I'm not saying that we all look the same because not everyone. I appreciate that, but I do think that there should be an offering in worship, and I do believe that equates to letting go because if it doesn't hurt, then it's not right. Like there should be something that is like, you know, I've got to do this. I've got to do, you know, and then going above, pushing the boundaries. So whether that's on your face on the floor, prostrate before God, or whether that is jumping down the front, actually, it's just about let's not just come with our hands in our pockets with very little, passion for Jesus. So yeah, I mean that's what I think.
we need to worship like the widow gave, you know, her all, not just a little bit, like the rich people. You know, they gave a small amount of their earnings, but the widow gave everything. And it's the same with worship. That is obviously an act of worship. So
well, I think as well, Adam, that really is prophetic in the sense that, like, even you know what I was saying about it's when you've got a room full of people who don't want to but yet do. Some people are worshiping out of their poverty. Not necessarily out of the overflow. Does that make sense? Because if you've had the great week and you can bring a bit of worship, it's really proportionate to the reward you've seen in your life. But if you can bring and just abandon yourself in worship when you've had a really hard week, that's when you're giving out. And it says, Jesus says on the Sermon on the Mount, it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, because they'll inherit the kingdom." Like there's something that when you come and when you just, so it's not about pretending you're not something. It's about embracing all that you are, yet choosing, you know, so it's what we were coming back to earlier, making the decision, I'm going to let go. I'm going to let, you know, so it goes beyond the principle of the head and it actually.
That's so good. And if you've just joined us for the Live at Lunch show, we're in the process of busy speaking through the final in the Holy Joe series, Holy Joe, Let's Go. But we're going to be changing gear a bit, and we've got a new section. So get ready in the comments because we're going to need you to join in for this as we begin to move into our new section which is called Guess That.
No.
So we're going to be doing Guess That TV theme tune, specifically focusing on 70s and 80s. So Dan, I feel like you're going to know nothing here, but I'm really relying on Dom and Father Time, Adam Clark, to really pull something out of the bag. But if you're in the comment sections, what we're going to do is there are 3 theme tunes. I'm going to play one. We're going to let you post in the comments what you think it is. I'm only going to do 5 seconds, the first 5 seconds of the theme tune, okay?
This is my.
And then we're going to see if you can guess it and get it right, okay? So here we go. Number 1, listen really carefully. You got 5 seconds, and if you know what this is, drop it into the comments. Here we go.
In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit.
Hold on, Dan. Hold on. I see you've got it.
I know what it is.
We got 2 here. Adam, you got it?
I didn't tap for sound, so I didn't.
So, no, Adam doesn't have it at all. Okay, cool. Dan, what are you saying?
Is it the A team?
We got the A team. Dom, what are you saying?
A team.
I can do the sound.
Hattie's saying the A team. Do the sound. Go, Adam.
Here
we go, gents. Here we go.
Yeah. Good.
In 1972, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Good job, boys. Good job. Really, really, really good. The A-Team. So we've got that. Ah, yes. One of the great. I pity the fool who doesn't know that.
I ain't getting on no chopper.
Okay, so here we go. 5 seconds. Number 2. See if you know what this one is. 5 seconds of it. Here we go.
Too easy.
I know. Dan, I don't feel like you know this one.
It sounds kind of familiar, but I don't.
It sounds like a Young and Free track, doesn't it, with that synth?
It does sound like a Young and Free track. Hattie's saying, could it be Knight Rider? ? What are you thinking, Adam Clark?
You know, I was thinking Knight Rider, or was it Airwolf? I think it's Knight Rider.
Oh, Don Bird, what are you weighing in on?
1000% Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
I want to just point out that opening line makes no sense. Knight Rider, a flight into the shadowy world of a man who does not exist. What?
Oh, wow. No, is that definitely the lines?
Listen to it. Here we go again. Just listen to it. It's ridiculous.
Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
What? But talking car can't get any better. Okay, so we're down to our last one. We're going a little bit old school on this one.
Good.
So I'm interested to see if you guys can get this one. But Dan, I'm writing you off, dude. I'm writing you off on this one. I'm not even thinking you're going to get it. So here we go, gents. Here we go. If you know what this is in the comments, post it up. Come on.
Okay,
Amazing.
2 thoughts on that.
Amazing. Driven by a lifeguard. I like that. Nice, Jonathan. If you know what that one is, I'm going to quickly play it again in case you missed it. Dom's got 2 thoughts. Adam is deep in thought here. Here we go. One more time, 5 seconds. See if you know what this is. So good, so good. Hattie's saying Starsky and Hutch.
No.
Well, Dom, what are you going for?
Well, I've got 3. Can I only
Okay.
pick one?
No, go all 3. You can throw them all 3 out.
Starsky and Hutch,
Okay,
Dukes of Hazzard,
okay,
or Shaft.
okay. So we've got Starsky and Hutch, Dukes of Hazzard, or Shaft. Adam Clark,
Shaft.
you're going for Shaft. Here we go, gents. Here we go. The Professionals. Come on. What a show.
Wow.
And what I like about it is that one guy was not afraid to wear a perm. Adam Clark, have you thought about this?
Well, I got the hair for it. I could, yeah.
Dude, you could be the next Bodie and Doyle. Bodie, Dan Moore, Doyle, permed Adam Clark.
Yeah.
No, nothing. So no one's going anything with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, no worries.
All right, I'll perm my hair. Great. Cool. Well, that was our new feature called Guess That. So good to be back. So good to be back after that little interlude, which was really good. If you've got any questions, please post them into the comment section so that we can throw out as we kind of come to the back end of today's Live at Lunch and really kind of one of the last discussions, not around holiness, but around the series of Holy Joe. Dom, the question I have to end with is this, and then Adam, I'll probably drop it onto you and maybe onto even you, Dan, so we can see where it goes to. But if you are thinking that there is one thing that people need to let go of, the biggest thing right now that you think people need to let go of, what do you think it would be?
Oh man. Probably, I mean, considering the state of the world right now, I think probably like the past. Like, I think we're coming into a new world, and I think everything's going to look different. And that, for me, that's not about being the prophet of doom. That's just about speaking reality. Like, you know, there's no way you can be stuck indoors for almost a year and for that not to affect just the way the world operates and the way the world works and thinks. And it's not about rejecting everything that was, but I think it's about understanding that, like, you know, the church that we had yesterday might not be fit to reach the people that we're going to be trying to reach for Jesus tomorrow. So it's about trying to let go of those things. And when me and Louise were talking about the let's go message, then we thought about this cool play on words. And I think it's a cool way to kind of end the series out. I didn't use it Sunday. It's just this play on words that, like, when you let go, Jesus really says, all right, let's go. Like, there's this sense that at that point, as soon as you're not holding on to anything so dear, and there's nothing that is, you know, really keeping you stuck in yesterday, Jesus then is able to really use you to your most potential, because he's saying, right, let's go. Because Holy Joe, let's go. Holy Joe, let's go. This idea that, like, we can begin to really change the world when we're not trying to hold on to anything that, you know, God doesn't really want us to. So he's not in yesterday. You know, he's just not in yesterday. In the same way in Isaiah, you know, he wasn't still in the Red Sea moment. God wasn't stuck there. People in their mentality were, but he wasn't. And he's saying, I'm doing a new thing. You've got to perceive it. You've got to see it. So I think just to let go of past, to let go of, you know, all that kind of stuff, and just get ready to embrace the new normal, whatever that is.
No, that's great. Adam, anything that you're thinking, one thing you think people need to let go of right now?
Toxic relationships are bad influences on your life. I remember over 10 years ago now, I kind of changed my lifestyle to hang around with people in the church rather than my mates down the pub, because that brought on a toxic lifestyle for me. Well, I was having a few too many beers, and I think it wasn't an easy process, you know, and trying to explain to my pals down the pub that I don't really want to come down and get drunk or have a few drinks with you guys anymore. I just want to go in, hang around with these nerds, you know. No, it's not the case at all, but it was a painful process, but looking back, it was the best decision I ever made. And I think no life changing experience is easy, and it just, I don't know, look at your life and have I got the best relationships around? Are those people around me, are they going to push me forwards? Are they going to drag me down? Am I, well, we're not going out at the minute, but are we going to the right places and spending our time wisely to grow in all areas of our life? So
it's great. And Dan, for you?
That's such a huge question. The first thing that popped into my mind was fear. There is such an intense sense, an atmosphere of fear in people. And I think, I don't want to make this, I don't want to belittle what people are feeling or anything, but I think almost there's almost fear where there doesn't have to be fear. And so I think just walking around, like, people, they're wearing masks outside when they don't have to, and like there's just so much. It's almost like it's overridden people, it's overtaken people. So the first thing that's popped in mind is fear. And again, I don't want to belittle this situation, but I do think fear has definitely overtaken a lot of people.
Yeah, that's so great. What a series. If you haven't been able to engage into the series or miss some, I'd really encourage you, go to sunnyhill.church and have a look at the Holy Joe series. It's been a huge amount of weeks, but really kind of just speaking right into the hearts and life of what it means to be a person who wants to live their life and go after Jesus. It's been great having you guys at Live at Lunch. And if you've been out in kind of Facebooky, YouTubey land, it's been great having you join us as well. If you're watching this later on, because you haven't been able to get to us earlier on, it's been great having you join in with us and watch us. We've got a special Live at Lunch happening next week with two things.
2020, isn't it?
Sorry?
The last one of 2020, isn't it?
It will be our last one of 2020, and two things will be happening. We will be doing a bit festive. We'll be doing a Guess That Christmas Carol or Christmas song. So get prepped up for that. But also, if you've been kind of getting the newsletter and you're a dream builder, we've been obviously letting people know that we're looking at gathering again and beginning to do physical gatherings in the room. And we're looking at starting that in January. And so we're dedicating Live at Lunch next week just to be able to get into a conversation around doing that. What's it going to mean? So if you've got questions or anything you want to raise, do join us next week at Live at Lunch on Wednesday at 1:00. You can post it into the comments, and we're going to be having a wrestling out of discussing us getting back into the room. So that's happening next week. Do remember, we got Phil Coleman, who's starting off our Christmas season run this Sunday. So do tune in to Sunday Live, 11 o'clock across all of the channels, and you can find out more information at sunnyhill.church. For those of you involved in the Christmas adventure, remember to start posting some pictures, some videos of the acts of kindness you're doing. We would love to be pushing that out to show people what everybody in Sunny Hill is doing. And we've got a whole lot of other things going on. So to find out more, please go to sunnyhill.church and you'll be able to find out a whole lot more. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dan. And as always, thank you, Dom, for coming down and joining us on the Live at Lunch show. It has been great having you.
Richard. Thank you, Richard, for doing this faithfully every week.
It's been amazing. I've absolutely loved it.
Thank you, buddy.
What I feel like is I really want to click out on one of the theme tunes, but it's not going to make any sense. It would just be a weird ending. But how epic would that be if we could all of a sudden morph into the professionals?
So good.
But it's not going to be happening. So we're just going to be cutting out on one of our normal little things. It's been great having you. It's been great having you join us. We look forward to seeing you at one of the online things that we'll be doing. And if not, we look forward to seeing you in the room at the start of January. It's going to be epic. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.